It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Weird and Whatever podcast. How are you guys doing?
Great.
You weirdos. You guys are weirdos. That's what people are calling us now.
I like it.
We're getting emails. Yeah, you guys are the weirdos.
I think I was called that before the podcast, though.
I've always been called that. You don't want to be a creepy weirdo. There's a difference between being weird and creepy and weird. And like, oh, man, you're so weird. That's awesome. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Vicky?
Good. I'm feeling very left out. Now I'm the only one without facial hair.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan's got his going on.
You better get going. Grow that goat. Denny's, you look great.
Well, thank you.
So let's jump right into it. A big saga of ours has been the ghost at my townhouse ever since my dad has moved in from Texas. Things have gotten really weird, and they keep on getting weirder. My dad does not believe in ghosts. He does not believe in them. And he saw the other night, my dog, Chewy, looks up at something. My dad looks up where Chewy is looking up, and there is a gray entity that is manifested, and it's floating, and my dad can see it. Chewy's looking at it, and then it disappears. Happens again the next night. Vicky, what the hell's going on here?
Did it have any kind of shape? Or
It did have shape, yeah. My dad drew it. It looked kind of like, almost like a diamond. Shining bright like a diamond.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, it's like almost like, but he said it did kind of, it morphed. And
Okay.
he goes, it wasn't smoke. It was weird. He does not want to admit that there is a ghost in there or ghosts.
Well, I think whatever's there is going to work overtime now to make sure that he sees it. Where was it? Where was it at? Where was he sitting?
So it was in the spot where you said you saw something, you felt something by the couch.
Between the two houses?
By the couch
Okay.
and the stairway. That's
Okay.
where the dog keeps looking.
Was this existing before the seance or only after?
Well, the weird stuff was going on. That's why we had the seance. This stuff manifesting and my dad visibly seeing something. And then, every morning I go and leave for work and he's sleeping on the couch now. He's not sleeping in his room. He keeps hearing tapping. So, yeah, this could be just, little bumps in the night. And I guess just what the what's manifesting, Vicky?
I don't know. Obviously, what I picked up on, I mean, like I said, that night, the investigation wasn't exactly what I would have done, from a team, standpoint. I mean, whenever you want us to come back, I can tell you a little bit more then, because whatever was there was pretty quiet that night as far as audio goes.
Maybe you shook some trees that shouldn't have been shook.
What are you talking about?
Maybe there's you upset a couple spirits.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so we're going to get into that because this seance and the investigation and all that has been quite controversial. And I love it because we've got different sides and we got psychics pitting against psychics. It's great because it's different opinions. And I don't know who's right. We're gonna discuss that. The other thing I want to talk about, the other things that have been going on that's been escalating has been me being dead ass tired I'm so drowsy, falling under and getting yanked. It feels like someone's taking their arm and just ripping me out of my sleep. That's been escalating very big. And the other thing that I want to talk about were the emails we got about doing the seance. So here's what some of the people are saying. All right, I had to paraphrase and edit down this email. Hey, dummies. I think it's terrible you guys did a seance. I'm a psychic, and I think it's stupid. Get a clue, guys. You're bringing the dark entities into Jaybird's home. Vicky, what are you doing? That's one. Then, and I'll let you respond after.
Oh, yeah, I'm holding on. I'll
Okay.
wait.
Hey guys, I'm a psychic medium, and I think it's great you're doing a seance. I also think you guys give Jaybird too much of a hard time about the Ouija board. I use it for good and have found it to be a helpful tool. I've had the gift since I was a kid. I was a rainbow child. Too many misconceptions about the Ouija board. It's not evil if you use it for good. Just my opinion. Leave Jaybird alone. And Beckett, you are hot, but quit laughing in the microphone, bitch boy. Melissa from Tequesta.
I kind of want to date Melissa after that.
So that's kind of what we got going on. We got some people going, don't mess with the Ouija board. Now, they're not as vocal as the first one. You guys are idiots and don't mess with that. But it's more like, don't mess with the Ouija board. You're bringing in bullshit. Come on, let's go. And we didn't mess with the Ouija board.
No, we did not.
But that's my own thing that I talk about. The other thing was, do Ouija boards, do seances, bring out and there's psychics on both sides saying that, Vicky.
Well, first of all, I'll clarify. Like last week, I wouldn't say I would not call it a seance. I would say it was a glorified EVP session that I have been conducting for 11 years now.
But could you say though? Could you argue? We're in a circle. We're asking spirits questions. There's candle.
Well, that's what we do all the time in an EVP session. We may not have the candles. Sometimes we'll use the candles simply as something for it to interact with, or whoever's there to interact with it. There's a lot of people in the field that have always argued that there is a very fine line between EVP and a quote-unquote seance.
But I guess my thing is why... There's a lot of people who don't think seances are bad. They think it's actually,
right.
it could be a celebration. So I don't get where there's so much stank about a seance.
Because everyone has their set of beliefs based on their experiences, which I would like to know what experience that person has in the field as an actual investigator.
Well, usually people that criticize don't have much experience.
Right.
But
first and foremost, like when I go someplace like your house, first and foremost, I am a member of Point Paranormal. That is my job. It is not as a psychic medium. Is that to collect some type of scientific evidence that there is another being there, a spirit or whatever you want to call it, to find something concrete, not just to take a psychic impression as, the be all to end all. I'm trying to find some concrete evidence. And like I said, I've 11 years in this field so far. And as you know, and you were there, I did not say anything that should have angered any spirits whatsoever. I was very polite. It was all very low key. And we were simply asking for some communication.
Well, does a seance have to provoke? I mean,
No,
yeah.
but we also didn't specifically ask for a specific person to come forward. We asked whoever was there to try to communicate with us.
Yeah, and I don't think we did anything wrong. I think we did. Even if we did ask spirits to come forward, hey, Mom, come forward. Let's.
Right.
I don't see what's. I guess
Well,
I don't.
it's
get
really
that.
not much difference, especially if someone's calling themselves a psychic or a psychic medium. If they're giving a reading, you're basically asking for someone to come and talk to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
It's bizarre because even in the psychic world, seances are bad. Seances are great. Much like we talk about religion, this is this is that. It's very eye-opening.
There's like different facets.
What's your dad's opinion?
If you remember, did my dad not kind of come in the middle of our seance or whatever you want to call it?
He interrupted it.
He interrupted the seance. Now, could that be a possibility too, that they're messing with him because he interrupted that?
I don't know, but you got to realize most of the activity kicked up when he came to your place to begin with. So if he's the one seeing these things and he's experiencing a lot of it, whatever's there wanted to talk to him for some reason and wanted him to notice them.
Denny's, what did you feel when you were there? Friendship?
I want to, I want to see some cool ghosts and stuff. I feel like the activity did pick up once Randy got there, your father.
There was some weird thing. I know you said there wasn't a lot that went on, but I mean the stuff with Angelica and you asking
the EMF.
questions, that going off at the best time ever, and take it for what it's worth. Those toys did fall down as soon as you guys left. I went to bed. I came down to get something to drink an hour and a half later. They're all on the floor.
Right.
That is bizarre.
Right.
Or am I just hopeful, wishful thinking over here?
No, I think it was more than a coincidence. And I think one of the reasons why we didn't get a lot of audio is because whatever was there was interacting with the EMF detector. And, a couple people were touched, yourself and me were both touched and, briefly walking through. And
I loved it, Beckett. I hadn't been touched
He got
in a while.
excited.
I was just thinking about that.
When you haven't been touched in a minute, you're like, oh, that feels so good.
He was touched inappropriately.
It was like his ulterior motive of
Denny's-
having a seance is he just wanted to be touched.
It was hot because Denny's, I think, you popped a boner.
I was filming the whole thing.
But all the interaction with those other things is probably the reason why we didn't get as much audio.
Yeah, my dad's in denial. He's like, yeah, I'm seeing these floating entities, but it's not a ghost.
Now, were you
Okay, Dad.
home when he saw that? Were you home in another room, or were you not home?
I was not home both times.
Okay, well, we're going to have to get rid of you then for a little while. We'll come and set up the cameras, and if your dad's willing, he can be there with us.
All right, we'll see if Randy's into it. I love it. So, who's ready for another round of Denny's Random Facts?
I am.
Yeah.
It's one of the best bits I've experienced.
We are working on a
Well then.
Denny's Random Facts theme song.
Oh, that's right. We are. We're putting one together.
And only Vicky and Beckett are going to sing it. You guys,
like it.
guys, come over. You guys really should do
That's
that.
random.
I love it.
All right, it was first random fact for you guys, and I stumbled upon this and I thought it was really cool, and it's just maybe you just never think about it, but
And before you get into it, not to interrupt you, because I try not to interrupt, but you need to get sound effects for this segment. I got a lot of people saying we need Denny's sound effects during Denny's Random Facts.
But he's the producer. You think he'd like have them like locked and loaded, right?
Damn.
Ready
Ooh.
to some like really good ones.
Wow, claws are out.
Not to have claws out. I'm just going to raise the bar.
For real.
I think.
me out, Beckett.
Beckett was 15 minutes late, and the ball is on him.
Where's Denny's sound effects?
No, I just I love Denny's. I feel like should have some good ones.
All right.
I mean, come on, Denny's. You're really
We're getting emails, we're getting comments on and off the show. I get it. I need sound effects. I'll get some.
Yeah, and we did try to adjust everyone's. We got some emails about everyone's microphones. My microphone's been too hot. Beckett's and Vicky's been too low. And no matter what, Denny's has always been set at peaceful.
There's just no other setting for it.
All right, give us those random facts.
All right. Well, so like I said earlier, 90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere. Pretty crazy, though, right?
That is crazy.
It is very crazy.
90%. That means the other half, no, it's not anywhere near 10%. That doesn't blow your mind?
Say it one more time. I think I was too much focused on the stutter.
90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere.
It is crazy.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
but think
wild.
about what's in the northern hemisphere. I mean, you
A
have the
lot of
United States, you have
stuff.
Europe, you have Russia. I mean, you have
You have food
China.
court. Yeah, you have restaurants.
Well, so you have like part of Africa. You've also got all of Micronesia. You've got
South
New
America.
Zealand. You've got.
Yeah, but that's nothing compared to China.
I know. Well, so I mean, you got like a little bit of China. Yeah, you're right. It's just everything's in the northern part. It blows my mind. I'll move on. I was obviously more moved by this one than you guys
No,
were.
man, freeform. That's
North
what this
side, south side.
That's what this segment's about.
Well, so you guys like talking about change, making changes in your lives for the future,
Right.
And I stumbled upon this to put change into a literal perspective for you guys. You replace every particle of your body every 7 years. Literally every single part of your body has changed in 7 years. So 7 years, you are actually not the same person you were 7 years ago.
I wonder if that makes sense, at least in personality.
Tastes change, personalities change.
Don't you guys- don't you
the
feel-
7-year
Priorities.
itch, is that where that came from?
Oh,
Like
you wonder.
Yeah, that's
Well,
interesting.
Oh, shedding your skin.
Don't you guys feel
Itching.
like you've changed from even on our perspective of just looking at life 7 years ago? Wouldn't you say?
That's such a great span of time.
It is.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I heard like there was the cell, like a cell life cycle, like you shed and develop new cells. So like there's no original cell after 7 years. So like I went plant-based like 7 years ago. So like I don't have any.
You're pure plant.
That's right.
That's cool. Look
You're,
at that.
you're a fern, baby.
Because up to like a few years ago, I still had animal residual in me.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to step on your toes, Denny's, but I think Becca just blew my mind.
Well, let me lay this one on you guys.
Do it.
Cotton candy, fun treat, was invented by a dentist.
Ooh. Counterintuitive.
Am I the only one? Oh,
Ah, see, this is what I'm talking about.
I didn't mean to step on your sound effects. You gotta let me. Oh, man. Double mind blows. Denny.
I'll stop.
That's great.
Did you get your red card today?
No.
It's like this whole time, he's had that loaded and ready to go.
Okay,
ready
so
for
you're
it.
literally blowing Beckett's mind right now. He
Right
can't
now with
believe-
that. That was the best part so far.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. In 1897, because I had to do some research, I could not believe that, so I did some research. In 1897, dentist William Morrison and a confectioner, John C. Wharton, teamed up and introduced it as fairy floss was what it was originally called. It's supposed to be like a floss type thing to entice people to eat candy that is kind of like a floss for your teeth. And then
Oh, wow.
simultaneously, and I've often debated this, that if somebody has an idea, somebody also has that same idea somewhere around the world around the same time. There's a theory about that.
Yeah.
And in a similar case, Joseph Lecault, I guess you could say, he was a dentist, also coincidentally in Louisiana, roughly around the same time, who patented as cotton candy, and then they pretty much took over that name.
Am I the only one that thinks cotton candy sucks donkey balls? Oh my gosh, I can't stand cotton candy.
It's not my favorite.
I don't really like sweets, so I'm a bad person to ask.
You don't like sweets? Get out.
I really don't.
How do you not like sweets?
I'd rather have a second serving at dinner.
Yeah, I'm not a big sweet guy either. I'm a savory dude.
Me too. I'm
but,
savory
But
too.
chocolate cake doesn't just make your that blows my mind.
If I'm gonna do dessert, I'm more of like a red velvet carrot cake kind of guy.
No. We're still plagued by this.
Oh, are we having technical difficulties and we're trying to stall?
I get it.
You know what? That's my microphone. You have to hammer on that button like you are. Yeah, like you.
I'm playing Tetris.
Well, oh man,
It'll come back.
you and Vicky might have to share a microphone like you guys are harmonizing on a song.
Nice. I like it. We got this other one too. I'll fire it
Collabo.
up.
All right, let's just go ahead and switch it.
It'll pop back on. It does this intermittently. It's not distracting at all.
So, Vicky, if you have to make a point, just go ahead and scream it, and it'll pick up on one of these.
Yeah.
Man, can we get some financing for this podcast?
For real, what is this?
You were talking about sponsors, Beckett. Let's get some sponsors for the podcast.
Who would be a great sponsor for the podcast?
We're throwing it out there to the people. Make the offer sexy for us. We'll make it real sexy for you.
Fair
Email
enough.
if you want to. Yeah, if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, let us know.
I love it.
And good news on just for a pump up for everyone's psyche here. Our numbers are very good. Not to be braggy, but the Weird Whatever podcast are very, very good.
Awesome.
Yes. So thank you to everyone who's been listening. Is your microphone back on?
No.
Son of a
So
bitch! I thought I stalled long enough.
We'll rotate.
Why don't you just get on that
Yeah, I'll
microphone?
scoot over.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do
we'll
that.
scoot over.
All right, let me turn that
This will be
microphone
fun.
on. All right. We'll edit all this out. We apologize to the people listening that we were so low budget. All right.
You got me over here.
So yeah, keep going, Denny's. Blow our minds.
I was gonna drop one final one. This one for the birds specifically. I found this one. I figured you would take a mild fascination in.
Give it to me.
In New York City, and these are recent stats from this year. In New York City, approximately 1,600 people are bitten by other people annually.
Vicky's microphone just turned
I
back.
saw that. I could tell you guys weren't even paying attention to that.
I could not. If somebody came in here with a machete to my neck and said, "What did he just say?"
I saw it in my peripheral.
I'm getting sliced,
All right,
baby.
we're scooting back
So,
over.
do you think it's the ghost doing this, messing with us? Or like, oh, I'll really show those fuckers. No.
We'll find out.
Oh, there we go. There's that sweet voice. All right, we're back. Denny's, repeat. You know what? Don't repeat that.
Oh yeah, it'll go great the second time.
People are bitten.
You blew the audience's mind.
Yeah, they were.
Now, give us one more
that
fact.
wasn't just
Give us one more fact.
different from that one.
Yes.
All right. Here's a pretty cool one. Sloths will mistakenly grab their own arms instead of branches when on a tree, which will cause a fatal fall. That's a common thing that happens. They move so slow that they grab their own arm and they literally drop.
Sloths are.
So they're slow and stupid?
You'd think if it was
Yeah.
I would think that would be, I'd leave more room for mistake if it was a quick grab. But if it's a slow grab,
Yeah.
that's like less of an excuse.
Sloths are very, very adorable.
They are adorable.
What do you call a rockin' sloth? David Lee Sloth. So someone had an email. Do you guys know the first recorded UFO in history? I was just curious. Lenny in Lauderdale. Yeah, you know, the first recorded one in history dates back around the 1600s, and it might even go further than that. We always talk about
Oh, it's got to be Egypt.
it is not Egypt. It is the Puritans, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and it goes back to the
Hieroglyphics?
1600s. In New England, spotted more than just witches flying through the skies. Hundreds of years before Area 51 and Project Blue Book, Massachusetts Bay Colony founder John Winthrop detailed instances of UFOs in the heavens above 17th century Boston. So Boston, 17th century is really the first recorded one that they're giving legitimacy to. But we've talked about olden times where it dates back to, you know.
Yeah, I mean they've had cave drawings with like
Right.
UFOs in them,
But-
depictions at least.
So to answer your question, There's some controversy on that one, but yeah, the 1600s, the really the first official one that they got,
First,
on
sighting.
the books, baby. Has anyone here? I'm sure I've asked this before. Has anyone ever seen a UFO here? You have?
Yes.
Okay. What year?
It would have been around 81.
Okay, that seems like such a booming time for UFO.
Such a UFO time period.
I was right around Flight of the Navigator.
Well, 81 is, I think, 81, 82 is right about the time when my brother saw something flying over the ocean. It was going west, and then all of a sudden made a stop and did a complete U-turn and jetted out of the atmosphere.
Mine just disappeared as fast as you can snap your fingers. And it was
Yeah.
about the size of a giant blimp.
Crazy.
I was born in 82.
Happy birthday.
Maybe I was dropped off.
That's true.
The one thing I did want to say, I think we're gonna bring a new feature here to the show. Everybody on the show is required to bring in a piece of audio they want to go over.
Okay.
Whether it's a news broadcast about something weird, an EVP, Denny's, a marijuana store, anything that would fall under the weird and whatever. But everyone must bring in a piece of audio, including producer Angelica. Thumbs up, Angelica.
Oh, all right.
Okay. We got homework. We all have homework now.
All right.
All right. That's the new thing.
I love it.
Okay.
How
And
long is the clip?
It can be. Let's make it no longer. I mean, after a minute and a half.
14 minutes.
Yeah. After a 14 minute. No. After about a minute and a half, it gets a little.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something
And it's
that
the audio?
it needs to be audio. Let's bring that to the people. We've had requests on people that want some audio, so we're
right.
listening to the people. We've got some more emails here. I kind of broke this down not as an email. There was a couple emails asking the same thing. It's more or less, if you have been close to death in your life, do you have a higher percentage of seeing a ghost? And I just by hearing that on feel, that seems right. Vicky, am I off on that?
Well, most people who are on death's door, usually loved ones come to help them over to the other side. So if they were that close and actually didn't make it to the other side, the likelihood is that they saw whoever it was who was assigned to take them. And I know of one person who actually had a Reaper, and she saw that Reaper, and she decided to fight and to stay alive because she didn't want to go where that Reaper was taking her.
What, was the Reaper bad?
Well, the Reaper, she perceived it as bad, and she's still hanging on, even though she literally, everybody was like, buying the funeral clothes and everything else. But what happened is when I went to go read someone connected to her, I saw the Reaper, and I didn't know it was a Reaper because it was kind of like a Men in Black kind of thing. They were like, he had like a suit, and he was like not looking at me or whatever. And when I described it to the shaman that I work with, she said, that's a Reaper. And the woman she fought tooth and nail, and she did not go. And she's actually still around, and this was like 6 years ago.
So we all, I think, as humans, feel self-doubt, right? I think there's times where we question, can we do this? As a psychic, do you ever have those moments where you say, what if I'm wrong? What if I die and this is all the wrong? Do you ever have those moments?
Yeah, and even when I'm giving a reading, you can ask anybody who's ever talked to me. I always say, take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm not saying it's the truth. I'm just telling you what I see, my opinion. All of us want to believe that we're right and that we see the correct things and we have it all figured out at the end. The bottom line is I guarantee you almost all of us are probably going to be pretty surprised.
That's my theory. I always say, that's why I love hearing other people talk about religion and what happens, because I don't think anybody knows 100%. And that's what faith is. Faith is believing in your heart that you are what you believe is right, and you don't have sometimes concrete proof, and it's what you believe and what you kind of can feel. For me, I feel like there's something out there after this world, because I look at the sun, I look at their nature a lot of times kind of jumps out to me as, man, there is something mystical going on here. This invisibility that makes things grow, and every single day we take for granted. We're like, oh yeah, the sun will be out there because it's always been out there.
Right.
But and you say that to people, that's a miracle. Like, okay, how much have you smoked? It really is a miracle.
It is.
This invisibleness
Yeah, totally. Every
brings
day.
up the sun every day, and we just, like humans, expect it to be there. That's crazy to me. That has always blown my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like when you grow up and you expect your parents to wake you up and pay for your bills. And unfortunately for some kids, that isn't the reality, whether they lose their parents or whatever. And you just become so in your bubble that becomes a norm, and things you take for granted, whether it's smoking or you have like you happen to be out of the rat race or the hamster wheel, and you actually step out and you're like, wow, like this is amazing. Like my former mentor made me he didn't make me, but like he gave it advice to always clap in the shower every morning. And it's like a psychological, physical cue to be thankful of every day, and to remind yourself, because it's crazy. If you think about how intricate the universe is, and the sun, the earth, how you were born out of like thousands of sperm, and you're the one that make it. It's crazy.
Sperm goes into a woman. Like I know you guys know how this works.
What happens next?
Tell me.
But even that though, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
It really is that something can self-replicate. It's really weird.
It is
Crazy.
And the other thing too is just seeing how much design is on this planet with animals and the ocean and all that. We do as a species need to take time out and go, this is pretty awesome. This is pretty cool. There's something, I don't know, may I say mystical going on?
Yeah, and let's not fuck it up.
Yeah. Is that Beckett's first F-bomb?
I think it is.
Mark it down, Angelica. This is a weird whatever first.
It was worth it.
I think Vicky's the only one that hasn't sworn on the podcast.
Well, if I don't do it at school, I can't do it here.
Boo! She talks like a pirate off the
Oh,
microphone.
I do.
So I asked this ethics question on the morning show. I wanted to see what you guys thought. Okay, you press a button, you get $10 million tax-free in your account. Okay, boom. But a random serial killer who has not been caught dies. Do you do it?
100%.
100%.
Yeah, there's no.
Well, explain.
Explain?
Yeah, elaborate.
It's a win-win.
Okay, it's a win-win, but what about not taking someone else's life in your own hands? Isn't
I don't
that
care.
You don't care?
No, I saved someone else's life.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm with him. In fact, you can keep your money.
Keep your money doing it for the love of the game.
Just doing it to get rid of them.
I'd pay $10,000 to kill a serial killer.
Because what would be the difference if I were a police officer and I shot him?
Just a badge, Vicky.
Exactly, just a badge.
Yeah, I mean, if you call into ethics, I guess you're not supposed to kill anyone.
So it's
that's the tough part.
That's what I'm saying. You coming from a religious background, Beckett, I shall not kill or thy shall not kill. You can tell I don't know the commitment.
Right from the Bible.
Just don't murder people.
What verse is that?
Just murder. Just don't murder.
One of those 10 amendments.
You're allowed to murder in defense, though.
For sure.
Well, that's
but
different, though.
But you're getting money.
But if
You're
it's a
getting
serial,
greed.
but if it's a serial killer, you're assuming that he's going to kill again.
But
So
no, he's
you're-
like in a penitentiary, right? Like when you press this button, he just dies.
Interesting twist, Denny's. I like that. Very Twilight Zone.
Or are you saying a random serial killer like out in public just chilling?
He was saying out in public.
Out in
Yeah.
public, chilling. At
large.
Right, you just added a nice
Well, I mean,
wrinkle.
at that
like
case,
hanging outside,
then, yeah,
hanging
you don't even
outside
have
the
to take
radio
money.
station.
Well, I meant let me elaborate. He's now in prison.
Well, I'm saying if they're in prison and then you're the one that's executing them, then that would be a moral dilemma because you aren't in any sort of threat from them.
Well, it's still a moral dilemma too, is it not, to be the person responsible for killing?
For another person's death? I mean, yeah, absolutely, especially if you're doing it for money.
But it is in self-defense. Well, I guess it's not in self-defense. You are, in a sense, stopping potential murder, which is good.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But you're gaining 10 mil.
10
greed.
mil?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you said 10,000.
No, 10 million.
Oh, then it's even less than that.
Even easier. Here, I got a moral dilemma.
Bring
Let's
it.
see how you guys handle this one.
I love it.
All right, so say you're standing by a train track and there's a train coming and the train track forks to a group with 5 people and a group with 1 person. And you're at the switcher, so you can choose. Right now, it's heading for the 5 people. You have the option to change it to only hit 1 person. Would you kill 1 person intentionally to save the 5 that it's going to kill anyway?
Yeah.
You would.
Yes.
And why is this?
Because those 5, it's always exponential, right? Like they have wives and kids and whatever. So it's not just 5 people. Those 5 people end up being 50 people that are affected.
But
So
he didn't drop the last bomb, though. The other person cures all diseases.
So let's
known
say
to
you don't
man.
know anything about that other person. What if that other person is
you
literally
got to
work-
take the odds.
So you're taking the odds. All right, does this make it any tougher for you? Instead of a switch there, you have to push a person to stop the train. You pushing a person.
I have to like actually.
You have to manually push that person onto the tracks. The train hits him and slides off and misses the other 5.
No,
Does
don't
that
do
make it tougher
Then
for
I'm
you?
going to jail.
But why does that one make it tougher for you? Because you're actually pushing him? Or is it because, because either way, the guy still dies.
Right.
There's been a lot of tension between you two today.
Well,
No, it's an
that's
interest-
the ethics moral mind bomb there.
It's interesting because if you're controlling the tracks, then one of 2 people are going to die, right? Like
So it's either going to kill 5 or it's
so
going to
you
kill
could
1.
hypothetically say there's 1 and 1. So like someone's going to die in either scenario, right? So you're
All
just
5 will die in this one.
you're just choosing, right? You're just choosing to kill 1 or 5 in that scenario. But if you actually have to physically make someone that, because you're assuming it's predicated that that person wasn't going to die if you didn't push them in front of the train.
Well, so if you leave it, it's going to go right into the 5 people and kill them. You have to manually turn that switch to make it hit that 1 person.
Right. I would still take that.
So now
option.
you're pushing the guy on there
But
instead.
so the difference is, you know what I'm saying? The difference is of that 1 person that you're being pushed, he wouldn't have died. You know what I'm saying? Because you actually have to push him in front.
Well, that's the only reason I threw that curveball in there is because does it make it a tougher decision? Because either way, you're condemning that man
Definitely
to his
makes it
death.
tougher.
Is it tougher to push him?
Definitely makes it tougher because you got to push him.
Well, so then that calls into the question. That's what we're saying with robots and stuff. A person who's not even controlling. I mean, they're controlling a robot. They're not actually realizing they're killing people.
Right.
We're
Yeah,
using
but-
them for.
But if you're in control and what you're in control of leads to the murder, I mean,
It's still murder, right?
absolutely.
But it's-
100%. But we can go down a rabbit hole, and there's examples of this in warfare, right? Like when you're the one marching 1,000 miles to stab someone to death in the medieval times, it's much different when you can have a suit on, make a decision, and give an order for someone to give an order for someone to give an order to touch a button to
then
kill,
fly a drone.
to fly a drone to kill someone. Like that disconnects you. Denny's
But
has got a good point.
It still makes you a bad person. You're still killing that person,
Well, I mean-
despite whatever way you're doing
It's the
it.
same net effect.
It
It's the
is.
same net
It's-
effect, but you have less on your conscience. And
Well, it's semantic. Now we're talking semantic. We're to the point. Well, I'm so removed that I really am not the murderer. I'm like murder light. Look,
I mean-
everybody knows deep down inside when you mess up and when you have
Well-
a hand. I believe deep down inside, even the terrible people know the truth. They may not admit it. They may not come to grips with it, but deep down, I think people know when they are messing up.
how do you feel
eventually?
How do you feel about this analogy then with killing of animals, in the sense that a lot of people that eat animal could never do it themselves, right? So like if they have a hamburger in a shiny McDonald's Happy Meal wrapper, like they could never go slit
It doesn't remind them of an animal.
Right,
It's
exactly.
packaged
It's
as
totally
food.
the point is, to Denny's point, they're totally disconnected from that and intentionally by McDonald's things. Like it's dressed up, it's whatever.
It's a Happy Meal.
That 12-year-old girl could never go slit the throat of a cow. You know what I mean?
And the other thing too is you have to also keep in mind what's socially accepted. It's not socially for the masses. Now I know there's people like you that don't eat this, don't eat that, but there's people that socially it's still okay to be removed and
Right.
eat a burger. There's nobody screaming at you other than PETA saying
Right.
don't eat those cheeseburgers because that's morally bad.
Yeah.
There's ways to live that life because it's the
Yeah.
norm.
Well-
and when the norm changes, that's when you'll see something, different.
And Denny's is right, because when you have a disconnect, like people don't fully understand. Like if you buy Nikes and you're all happy about it, but then you go to that factory in
There's kids making
in
those.
Asia that are like
Oh.
basically slave labor, then you totally change your mind about those Air
There's
Jordans.
Or you buy
Somebody-
that iPhone where people are jumping on Windows.
Well, someone gets me every time I talk about chocolate. They'll send an email. Chocolate Bird, you are
Slave labor,
There's
yeah.
slave labor, and every time you eat a Snickers, the fucking world weeps. I'm like, shit.
But it's true. But you wonder how many people, to Becca's point, would be vegetarian if you actually had to go out and kill your own animal and
You're
then bring
right.
it home. I'd be like, dude, F that noise. I'm
Well,
gonna get some berries.
Paul McCartney's famous quote, he goes, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be veg.
Oh, did he really say that?
What are we gonna do?
That's very, very interesting. Oh, hear that, John?
Where's the mind blown sound effect?
No, but you're right though. I definitely see the point of the more you're removed from the drama of the situation, the less it becomes personal for you. You even see that with tragedy.
Yeah.
People get involved when it affects their life.
100%.
I think everyone can have sympathy and empathy on a tragedy, but when you really, really are affected by it, that's when you are just like, shit, this man, things gotta, I think people change or want change when it affects them on a personal level.
And
sure.
it has to be visceral. And to bring it back to the podcast in terms of what we talk about a lot, I might be super skeptical about something until I actually experience something paranormal, UFO,
For
and
sure.
where I could be the guy that used to make fun of people that were vegetarian. And look at me now. So like until you actually experience something paranormal, like then you totally judge it in a different way.
That's why I judge no man.
You ever have that worker where you're having drama with that worker and you know it's them. It's definitely them and no one else sees it. And you're like, son of a bitch, you're complaining like, look, it's you. And then it finally happens to them and everything you've been complaining about, everything you've been saying for 3 years, all of a sudden they're like, can you believe this shit? Motherfucker, I've been telling you that for 3 years.
It is.
There's a Nat King Cole song I know no one's going to go out and play, but if you
I will.
are bored, try it. It's
good.
called Till It Happens to You. And it's such a good song. It's old school, though.
I'll check it out.
Till It Happens to You. It's really good. Anybody have anything they want to add to tonight's podcast?
I do. I actually got a DM that I was going to read.
A DM, ooh.
Yeah, someone slid into the DM. So it was kind of funny. Can you talk about ghost babies on the Weird and Whatever podcast? I want to see what your thoughts are on sexing up ghosts. Are Jason's ghosts at his house horny, or is it just the squirrels? Sorry, I'm high.
All right, so hold on. So what are they asking? What about the squirrels?
So they wonder if you can have babies with ghosts,
Okay,
I want to see what the
could a
thoughts
ghost
are.
get someone pregnant?
or ghosts get each other pregnant.
And are the ghosts at your house horny?
I've asked Vicky that before, and don't you say if they were horny in the real life and that was a big part of their driving, force, would they not be a little horny in the
Correct,
spirit
but I don't
realm?
think they could impregnate someone.
So ghosts can't impregnate each other?
I don't think so.
Could
no.
ghosts hook up with one another? That is such a fair question.
I mean, I've investigated houses where there were people, voices that I got, and it sounded like,
They're having sex.
they were a couple. Really?
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 Good for,
I
and
bet
good
it's
for
hot.
them. Yeah.
Good for them.
Get your freak on spirits.
real.
Okay, could you just be a spirit hanging around and your sole purpose just is to hook up with other spirits? You love to just mac on other spirits and
For
they're hooking
real.
up with you. Let's say you go to an 1800s brothel where spirits are just throwing it around.
Like
Sounds amazing.
a ghost Casanova.
Yeah, and they're giving it to you, and you're kind of king shit in ghost world. Why would you leave?
Frank Sinatra's killing it.
Oh,
If he was a ghost, he probably is.
Yeah.
oh, for real.
Vicky?
I'll let you know.
She's like, I don't even know
Whatever
where to
happens.
begin.
I mean, ghost hooking up, a possibility here?
That happened in the movie Ghost, didn't it?
Yeah,
Demi Moore?
They did. Yeah, they I'd like to see you and Denny's recreate the
pottery scene?
Oh, it'd be good.
I think that'd be with your hair.
I'd be Demi Moore,
Oh, you're
right?
definitely
Yeah,
Moore.
for
He's definitely
sure.
Swayze.
For sure.
I'll direct this thing.
I could probably get that Demi Moore hair going.
I think we can make this hot. That's awesome. Were you done with your point?
Yeah.
Okay. Vicky, anything to bring in tonight?
How could I top that? I don't know.
I did want to mention, we do talk about murderers sometimes here on the show. They just found the Golden State Killer. You guys saw that?
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, I heard you
Crazy.
talking about that earlier.
So there's so many of these murderers, and we've talked about it before. Sometimes you feel like you don't want to give them that nickname.
Yeah, you don't even want to give them the cred so that
Well-
they're even being talked about.
You give them a nickname, you're making it cool for them. I'm sorry, you are. And
Yeah.
I do morally struggle with that sometimes because I'm so fascinated by murder specials and all of this stuff because you're thinking, holy shit, this is real? I can't believe someone's that evil.
Right.
What are your guys' opinion on that? Why do you think some people are so drawn to murder specials?
I don't know, but if it weren't for those, there'd be people that would never have gotten caught if it weren't for the media.
For sure.
I'm
And
not-
infamy is different from like...
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, look, I think there's a way to, like, for example, America's Most Wanted was
Right.
great. That
Great.
was awesome. That caught people.
For sure.
There are things that explain. How many Ted Bundy movies do we need? How
You're
many
right. When
Ted
we're
Bundy-
over embellishing the story.
I mean, honestly, the guy was
Sinister.
Sinister. I mean, if you're the parents of the victims of a Ted,
you can't watch
Just
this thing be
Zac
glorified.
Efron's playing Bundy.
I
Yeah.
agree, and I also think that we should take it to the next level. I think instead of saying Golden State Killer, this axe murderer special, blah blah blah, that we should shame him. Like the media should be like, oh, this douchebag from California is killing people. Like they should be shamed and looked down upon.
So, for example, with the Parkland shooting, there was a story about how he's getting all these presents from people that shouldn't from people that are
Yeah.
crazy and so that shouldn't. I don't know if that should be reported on.
That shouldn't be news at all.
But then I'm talking about it here, so I'm part of the problem. So you see the dilemma here.
But then again, I think I'd like to know that there's people out there, just like with Bundy. Bundy had a huge fan base,
I know.
and I think it is helpful to know that there are people that are sick out there and think that this is a great person.
Charles Manson had a big fan base too.
Yeah.
He did. And so I guess with me, what I'm thinking is maybe the movies, all of that, glorifying that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just-
but I mean, with the Stoneman shooting, I mean, hasn't been a movie made, and people are already doing that. I mean, as soon as it happened, because I guess in certain degree they felt like he was a victim of some sort, and that's how come this thing came about. So there was no movie of the week about him, and yet people are doing it right away.
So your opinion on a report being on something like people sending him stuff, you think it's a good thing to report that on?
I think it's important for us to realize what kind of people are out in the world.
Do we know? I mean, don't we kind of know that though?
No, some people really are clueless. They really are. That there are people out there that I understand that there are people in this world that do things and you might think that they deserve sympathy because of how they grew up or something like that. But when, it just crosses the line, like with Bundy having girlfriends in jail, that just crosses the line.
On the
And
fact that he was able to even get a conjugal visit, it's
Right.
It's
ridiculous.
insane.
It's so.
It's like offensive.
What's wronger than the word wrong? Anything that's wronger than that, it's so
deplorable.
It's so wrong.
But I'd rather know that there are people out there so I could,
Okay.
not
Avoid
walk
'em.
around with blinders on.
Yeah.
But with that said, what about doing the movies? Too much? Getting Ted Bundy movie after movie?
Right. I think it depends on how it's depicted. Because you could watch a movie, first of all, I mean, in real life, he was a decent-looking person. So, of course, they're going to get a good-looking actor to play him. Okay? If they had chose someone ugly and had shown a different side or presented it in a different way, then it would have been more informative rather than swaying you to get caught up in the story.
I kind of disagree. I just think that you can totally glorify the wrong people, and I mean, how many fucking movies do you need about Ted Bundy?
Yeah, I know,
honestly?
but that's what I'm saying. That's what they did, though. They hired good-looking actors, and they didn't make it.
They could have got a less
sinister.
attractive and made
Right.
it more
But
informative.
I mean, should they have even made it though? You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, there's fictional pieces like Natural Born Killers. That movie glorifies the art of serial killing.
But is that a real story though?
It is not. It's a fictional story.
I'm just looking from the perspective, and I look. My opinion can be completely wrong. It doesn't feel right.
It's not
It doesn't
cool,
feel
especially
right.
for the families of any victim. It's got
Yeah.
to be horrible to see that.
Your loved one's murder, and now there's a movie about that guy, like for the ninth
And people
time.
are giving it ratings like, yeah, it was good. Zac Efron's performance was
He
great.
did great as Bundy. It's like, oh
I
my
think the
god,
That's got to crush you.
totally.
The biggest problem is it forms an incentive for people to do bad things. And the whole reason, or one of them, in my opinion, whether you believe or disagree in the death penalty, the good thing about it is it can, what's the word? It can make people not want to commit murder because there is the death penalty there, right?
For some people.
It disencourages them, right? So you've seen a lot of, and you've heard a lot of these people that do mass killings and stuff, they wanted to be known. They wanted to be recognized, like especially in this era of social media and like fame, like they want to like get their 15 minutes. So if you take that away from them, then in essence, maybe you can prevent some of these things.
That's
For sure.
That's the only thing I'm thinking
Right.
about.
But if the murderer is still at large and he's killing people that are a certain profile, I think you need to let the public know that
I agree.
someone
And
is
that's
doing
where I agree
this.
with Jay.
But
Like,
that's different though.
you do like an America's Most Wanted types format, like that makes sense.
Movie, popcorn, snacks, Bundy. I don't think
Right.
that's right. America's Most Wanted, I totally agree with you. You're right. We can't go through the world with blinders on, and I think there's a way to do. Like America's Most Wanted, they were taking that off the air. Really? That's such a public
In
service.
Florida,
that's
it's,
great.
it's just not getting
Yeah.
ratings. I guess they have to take it off.
I
And
don't-
some of the old crimes that they were able to solve, like this one man, they made a movie about it. I hate to tie this in that, but
No,
they made
bring it
the
up.
guy that killed his whole. I can't think of his name, but he killed his entire family. He was supposed to be like this uber religious man. He killed them, left them in the house.
Yes, I remember.
And he was caught. What was it? 20 years
Jonathan
later.
List.
Yeah, something like. I mean, that's a long time. But he was eventually brought to justice because of that show, and because of the media.
Yeah, and I think that's where the debate is. It's where what's the good stuff to put out, and I agree. Throwing things out there like documentaries that really are not to glorify them. I guess I don't know, and I could be off on that.
They should just title all serial killers once they become a serial killer and they catch them. They should not release their name. They should just call them like Serial Killer 1. or
Douchebag from Cali.
SR1
Yeah, I
or something
mean,
to make so that you get no glory. From
I
the
agree with
actual,
you.
I
Totally.
just wonder if either the media give it the Nantucket knifer. You know, when you give
Yeah.
out,
When
Well,
you give out
because-
names like that, it sounds
Nicknames.
cool.
Because for them, it becomes marketing.
yeah, well,
For sure.
and it comes down to the mighty dollar.
It really
Totally.
That's
does.
what it comes down to
Yeah.
views and clicks, baby.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. You give them a cool name, of course you're going to want to follow them. And it's gotten weird where infamy is now kind of a cool thing to follow. People are glorifying the bad behavior.
And
Totally.
I think part of all this, why I bring it up, is I sometimes feel like I'm part of the problem. I
Being
do.
in media.
Being in media, and I mean, I'm just,
Dirt of the day.
well, that I always want to apologize to the audience for that. But yeah, no, it's tough because you don't want to, did I hit something, Denny's?
I saw the mouse moving around on the screen. There you go.
I think we're good. Sorry, I almost shut off RMF. We don't-
I'm just
we-
making
we-
sure it didn't
we
hit the
don't want-
schedule button.
We don't want to do that, but yeah, just something to think about. Food
Yeah,
for thought.
I agree.
Okay, would you rather?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Let's start off with who's going to be my first victim here. Let's go with Beckett.
Nice.
All right. Would you rather smack a horse in the face every time you see it, or release a sex tape with you and a horse? Oh, and it goes viral, baby.
Ew. Before you said the horse, I was like, sex tape.
So every time you see a horse, you have to slap
You
it.
just have to hit her
And you're
in
probably
the-
going to go viral that way.
Ooh.
I mean, your whole life would be
You might as well just
My
do the
business
sex
is like
tape.
just closed up.
yeah. You gotta probably
I don't think I can have a sex tape with a horse though.
that it's pretty rough. But you don't see anything. All you see is you're naked, the horse is there, and you're smiling, and then it cuts. But yeah, I mean it just.
Why do you always tone these things down for him? I can't
Okay.
wait. I can't wait to see what mine is.
Oh,
today.
yours is your. But you can handle it. You're enlightened. That's
Yeah,
why.
if there's no sex in the sex tape, I'm gonna go with the horse one.
Just kidding. There is a lot of sex.
I was gonna say.
Of course, with the horse. Yes.
Then I'm gonna smack a horse if there's sex. I'm not gonna have sex with a horse.
All right.
So every time you see a horse, you go to work, you have to like hit it in the face 3 times.
I like slap it in the ass.
It has to be in the face, and you're never allowed to quit either. You have to always be in the horse community. so your whole life is just this big turbulent, just. Ugh.
Yeah,
The sex tape, you live peaceful after. It's one and done.
I don't know. I don't think there's any recovering from getting banged by a horse.
You're not getting banged for it. Like, can I lighten it up a little bit? All right, you're just giving a hand job.
You got to give a blow piece.
I thought it was a milk cow.
What do you do?
I think I still slap the horse.
Okay, that's horrible.
That's so cruel.
You're so cruel.
I thought you loved it.
Was that tough though?
That was tough.
All right, Bird's been
The
stepping
different
it up.
nuances change I flip flop based on what you adapted the question.
Let's give Vicky's over here giving me stank eye. You make it so easy for him. All right, Vicky, since you're so talkative over there. All right, would you rather kill me, Denny's, and Beckett and get away with it, or watch your best friend die a painful death?
You're gonna call Bobby Joe out like that, huh?
Look, it's gotta get tougher every week.
is easier than mine.
It's always-
You always do this.
I don't know. Do you want to answer the horse question, Vicky?
Yeah, I'd slap the horse.
Yeah, she
Dude,
doesn't
I'm
like
done.
horses that much.
That would suck. So you have to slap a horse.
You
That
feel
would be
weird.
so terrible.
It'd be rough.
In the face, it'd be awful.
Well, add some kind of loophole or something.
There's no loopholes yet. Wow, we really got you on this one, huh?
Well, yeah, but you know what?
We're gonna die, aren't we?
No.
You
No.
killed your.
Bobby
Or
Joe.
you watched.
Because, see, Bobby Joe will just come back as a ghost, and she'll be hanging out with me all the time. So
Oh, hey.
I won't
There
lose
you
Bobby
go.
Joe.
Look, if you can live with that when you go
So
to
there's
bed at
my
night.
loophole.
Damn, she saves us.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's nice.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you.
You're
All right. Denny's, would you rather have Jen, your fiance, lose all of her teeth and always shit the bed for the rest of your guys' lives together?
Ooh.
Or you gain 500 pounds on top of the weight you have right now, never having the ability to lose it?
So hard. I'd have to gain the weight. I'd
Aw,
have
what
to
a
gain 500
gentleman.
pounds. Yeah, I could do that to Jen.
Because with Jen, the Jen one, you guys are both suffering.
Does Jen know that he had to do that decision?
Uh,
Because that factors in. Because maybe she leaves him because he's 500 pounds.
It's true. She'd be like,
But
what the
if
heck?
she knew that he was a martyr about it, she would never
okay,
do
so
that.
she knows that he has the ability to make her shit the bed all the time, but she has no idea that he would ever about the 500 pounds. She only knows the worst stuff about
She
it.
just thinks that like he started having a bad diet.
Like she knows that he had the ability to not have her crap the bed all the time and not lose her teeth, and he decided not to, and they have to live together with that.
Yeah, I'd probably gain the weight. I think that'd be the best way to go.
You are a sweetheart. I mean,
Yeah, I can do that
Yeah.
too.
but I
It's
didn't.
obviously the right answer.
I'm not. I'm not.
What's the catch?
I'm not
What's the
finished. You
the
also
caveat?
cry blood. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody gonna know what would you rather from me? Come on, give me something off the top of your
I
head.
always forget.
I love the ones off the top of your head. Please give me one. Come on.
Would you rather be made of metal, like you're a robot bird, like you don't even know it? You one day something hits you and you're like, oh my god, I'm made of metal. Or would you rather have been raised and lived your life underwater? And when you talk, it just sounds like bubbles.
So underwater.
You would pick underwater?
You know I got a whole complex about swimming. I would love to rectify that. Yeah, so underwater.
You're like
baby.
a merman.
Yeah, what do you think of that? So, Vic, you being the teacher, would you please grade Denny's Would You Rather? A, B, C.
I'm just glad there wasn't paste involved. That's all I cared about.
What do you give a grade? We need a grade on that.
I mean, whose ethics question was better? Birds or mine?
Well played. You had a better ethics question. Beckett, you got a Would You Rather off the top of your dome?
Would you rather be 500 pounds for the rest of your life
Okay.
and eat whatever you want,
I mean, you're making it real good, Beckett.
or be like on the cover of Men's Health, GQ, ripped, like godlike body, but you can never eat again? Meaning that you only can get your nutrition through vitamins.
Do I yearn for food? Do I miss it? Do I ache for it?
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes in terms of your desire. You still like pizza. You still like every combos. You still like all that
you're
stuff.
cut.
But you have to choose 500 pounds for the rest of your life. You can eat whatever you want, or ripped, godlike Greek body, and you only can eat vitamins for the rest of your life.
Gosh, I'm so not. I'm so not impressed with the Greek body. I'm really not. Like, abs are so overrated to me.
Not just abs. You're just like, you walk in a room and like panties drop.
I don't know. I mean, 500 pounds would be.
It's big.
I go 500 pounds.
No.
I do. I love.
Over vitamins?
I love foods. Denny's, honestly.
Yeah,
how
he
much-
does. There's no way you would be able to eat vitamins.
There's no way. I would hate my life.
You
I
would complain
hate
so
my
much.
life so much. Yeah, man. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Give me my food. Dude, I'm Italian. We love our food. We literally,
interesting.
we talk. I'm not kidding. This is how we grew up. If we were eating breakfast, we were talking about lunch and what we're having for dinner. At lunch, the same thing. We're always talking about food. food makes people cry in my family.
Wow.
Like in a good way. I'm not knocking my
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just how we
yeah.
were raised.
Interesting.
We were Italian. Vicky, you want to take a stab?
I'll do one for Denny's.
All right.
I
Oh,
love
jeez.
it.
All right.
Would you rather every single day that you come to work cause a fight and conflict, because we know how peaceful he is, or would you give up your friendship with Jay Bird?
Damn, you're trying to rip us apart. What the shit is this?
Beckett's asking if he wants to be on a cover of GQ. I'm getting like ripping people apart. Obviously, I'll just get in a fight every day. It'd
Yeah,
be
come on,
it'd be
you
better
can't-
than tarnishing the relationship.
You can't break up this duo.
But you'll fight with him every day.
But you know what, though? Me and him could fight together.
We
and
could bounce back from it.
It would suck that if you had a fight with Kevin and Virginia every day.
Oh, it'd be so rough.
Gosh, I've done it. It's terrible.
That'd be rough. That's a tough one though.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Very, very good. Very
I'm
good.
gonna write down some for next week
Yeah.
just in case.
Very, very good. So, what's our homework assignment?
To bring in a video
Audio.
or audio.
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 It can be of anything. I don't give a shit if it's of your cat meowing.
Okay.
Let's
Well, be
bring in
careful
some
what
audio.
you, be careful what you wish for.
We got some lot of emails, people talking how they wanted the audio. They also, we addressed the volume issue. Let us know if the volume issue was fixed. I'm hoping it is. You guys sound pretty good over there to me.
I
Totally.
seem kind of loud.
Well.
Now they're gonna be like, "Shut Vicky up. She was way too loud."
No, say it proud, Vicky.
But yeah, just send me to mail@kvjshow.com. We got our mailbox all fixed up.
Yes, Angelica, our producer. We never talk about Angelica. We got to give it up for our producer, Angelica. Thank you for being awesome. Do you have anything to add tonight? Okay, well, guys, thank you guys for listening to the Weird Whatever podcast. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.